Hello everyone, welcome back to the MyFootballWriter YouTube channel, and once again welcome back to some transfer talk. Apologies really for sort of the lack of variety of content on the channel. We've been trying to do podcasts, but we just haven't had the availability to do so, unfortunately, which has left you all without a video for a while. But with how active Norwich are in the transfer market, they're filling that void quite nicely, and it's always nice to inform you all of Norwich City's signings and their news, whether it's transfers or whatever. But let's move on from the tangent and let's get on to the deal. Another player. This is a player who Norwich have been linked with for a while, and he wasn't really supposed to join Norwich in the first place. It's Pape Diallo, the Senegalese winger who currently is playing his football with FC Metz, was playing in the French Second Division Ligue 2 last season. They got promoted, but it looks as if he will not be playing in Ligue 1 this season to come. It looks like he'll be playing in the Championship for Norwich City, and as we usually do in these transfer videos, we're going to tell you information that we know about the player and the deal itself, try and educate you as best we can about Norwich's potential newest player. So let's get into first things first, as we usually do. 21 years old, Senegalese, has played 7 times for Senegal and scored 2 goals. So he's played for his country, has scored goals for his country, which is brilliant for a player, especially at young age. And looking at his young age, it's sort of, again, it doesn't necessarily go against Norwich City's transfer model, but of what we've seen this season, they have now, this would be signing number 8 if you include Jacob Wright, who was technically already here, but this would only be, along with Wright and Kvistgaarden, their third signing of 8 if it comes off, who is 23 years old or younger. So Norwich, we've seen mainly in this transfer window, have brought in players who are in the prime years of their career, around 25, 26, but they're now sort of balancing it out with a bit more youth. They're bringing in players who are still proven at European level. You look at Kvistgaarden, who's 23 but has played a lot of football for Brøndby. Now you look at Diallo, who's played internationally for Senegal and has played over in France. Of course, Jacob Wright, their other signing, was a Manchester City academy player and had featured in the Champions League. They're players who are clearly very highly ranked amongst their clubs and their countries as well. But no, it's another young player coming into Norwich to add to the plethora of youth talent they've got, who very much could come good. And he's a somewhat established international at a young age, so that's always nice. But on to the next point. He's a left midfielder. He's a right-footed left midfielder, so you would expect, quite a bit like with Borja Sainz at Norwich, a lot of playing on the left wing, but cutting it into his favoured foot on his right and looking to just curl efforts beyond the keeper and be a bit of a nuisance. But he has also played on the right wing for Metz. He played in a variety of attacking positions, so he's a player who can be versatile, which is of course important for any player at any club. You want a player who can play in several positions for you and give you a different option in different areas of the pitch. There can just be another body to have. So it's impressive for Diallo at a young age to have an understanding of playing in different attacking areas, but he's mainly a left winger. This doesn't really necessarily mean he will be Norwich City's replacement for Borja Sainz. Of course, Kvistgaarden, as we discussed it in the transfer video we did for him, you can go and watch it and other transfer videos we've done after you've watched this one. But yeah, it doesn't seem like he'll be the direct replacement. It seems as if it's seen more as a depth signing, really, for Norwich in attacking areas, because it's always important at any level of football, no matter how much money you have, to have good depth in quality all over the pitch. So it seems like that's more this signing. It is, well, it was reported in the very article written by Paddy Davitt for the Pink 'Un about Diallo. Now it looks as if it has finally advanced to where Norwich are going to get it done now, rather than what we'll talk about in a minute or two, about the sort of I can't really think of the word, the sort of toss-up really between, it was either going to be one club or it was going to be Norwich, but we'll get onto that in a second. But it was reported by Paddy Davitt that Norwich are looking for a more experienced player who can play in a variety of attacking options and also defensive positions as well, and be primarily left-sided. Norwich were looking at Aaron Cresswell before he went on to join Stoke, so apparently there is a target who is in the front running. That wasn't a named player, but I'm sure we'll probably see a bit of that over the next coming days. But for the meantime, Norwich are going to get a left-sided player in where they have lost Saints, but they've got Kvistgaard, and it looks like they're going to get Diallo as well. So it's just good to have depth in quality to put a long point short. But let's go on to the next one. We discussed at the start, currently plays for FC Metz in the second division of French football. He scored 7 goals in 28 games last season, which for a left midfielder, it's not bad at all. And we'll go on to his overall stats for the season in a minute as well. But it's not a bad number of goals to score. That's a goal every 4 games. It's not bad at all for a left winger. It's, if anything, it's quite impressive. You don't expect really, apart from the example of Borja Sainz last season, but that was down to just a freakishly good first quarter of the season. You don't expect left-sided players to score all the goals and be the main man. It's very unlikely, and also, of course, I don't really know. I'm not sure any Norwich fan probably knows how Metz play their football and how Diallo was mainly utilised in a tactical sense and what role he played within the team. I'm sure there'll be someone watching this video who can probably educate us all in the comments. If you are that person, feel free to do so. But yeah, so 7 goals in 28, goal every 4 games. Don't mind it. What in a championship season that would be 11 goals if he continues the rate he's going. That wouldn't be a half bad debut season, even if you were a striker. So no, it's good. It's impressive. It's a player who I hate to use this cliche, he knows where the goal is, effectively, but every footballer knows where the goal is. All you got to do is look opposite you. But no, anyway, I'm going off on one again. So let's go on to the next point, and this is what we were talking about earlier, and it's how originally he was supposed to go to Watford, and this was a deal agreed for £4.3 million. Now, it wasn't said in Paddy Davitt's article how much Norwich are spending on this deal, but I would assume it's the same amount of money because it'd be a bit silly to offer more or less, really. So around £4 million, you would assume, but a deal was agreed with Watford, and Ben Napper and his not his coaching staff, rather, Ben Napper and his scouting team have hijacked it. So it was pretty much, it was agreed, not pretty much, it was agreed. Pape Diallo was going to go to Watford. He was going to have a medical at Watford, but then Norwich came calling, and he's now turned down Watford, and it looks like from the day I'm recording this, it's Monday when I'm recording this, the 21st of July, it looks as if within the next 2 days, this could be done and he could come to Norwich. And another good thing for what Norwich has is after the Brexit laws, I spoke about this in the Kvistgaard video, ESC slots. Again, I really apologise because I can't remember what the actual words are for each letter, which is very frustrating. But Norwich have got 2 spare slots. I believe it's Mate Jurasek and Matthias Kvistgaard who have currently occupied 2 of the 4 Norwich are allowed. So Norwich would be able to use that. So it would, rather than what happened with if Watford were to sign him, this could be another thing really in the deal that just gave Norwich that edge, as opposed to many other things that could have attracted Diallo and his agent to come to Norwich rather than Watford. Watford would actually have had to have waited for Diallo to play a game in Ligue 1 before being able to sign him because they don't have the ESC slots. So due to the post-Brexit transfer laws, Diallo would have had to have played for Metz in a Ligue 1 game, and then Watford could have signed him, which makes the deal a lot longer for them and maybe puts them off. But at the end of the day, they had a deal agreed for £4.3 million. It's a fair bit of money for a 21-year-old who has only really played his best football in the second tier of French football. So they took a punt, and then Norwich saw a bit of it and thought, yeah, you know what, we'll join it. And it looks as if they're going to be the club he picks, and they do have that advantage of being able to sign him straight away and allocate him a slot and make him a Norwich player, and he hasn't got to wait until probably the first or second week of August, when the Championship has already had 2 or 3 games. You'll have a Carabao Cup game in there as well, who Norwich, funnily enough, are playing Watford at Vicarage Road. What a story that could be. Diallo rejects Watford, comes to Norwich, maybe gets his first goal at Vicarage Road for the Canaries. That would be some story. But no, let's get back onto the point. He was going to sign for Watford for £4.3 million, but it's not going to happen. He's going to come to Norwich City instead. And let's go on to the last point. This is his season statistics as a whole for the 24-25 season. He played 33 games for Metz across all competitions, scored 7 goals. They were all in the league, and he got 5 assists. So 11 goal contributions for a left-sided player. Not bad when you do the maths. It's a goal contribution every 3 games, and as we discussed earlier, he's scoring a goal in every 4. So it's not, again, it isn't terrible. You know, I'll go on to the point of he's just 21 years old, and he's playing his football in the second tier of France. And, you know, he's not exactly setting the world alight, but for a left-sided player to be getting a goal contribution every 3 games, you know, there's some strikers in the Championship who sort of put up those numbers or aspire to put up those numbers. And so it is impressive. It's not half bad. If he can do that in the Championship, a goal contribution every 3 matches, this is going to show where my lack of mathematics shows, but it'd be 15 goal contributions. There you go. Maybe I'm not half bad at maths after all, but that isn't bad at all. As I've said earlier, you know, if he's scoring a goal every 4 games and he's getting double-digit goals, and then he ends up with double-digit goal contributions, you know, that's a lot to ask. Don't get carried away, really. This is just me basing it off last season's mathematics and comparing it to the Championship. That wouldn't be a half-bad debut season at all. If anything, that'd be quite impressive to come from the second tier of France to the second tier of England, where it probably is a lot more intense. There's a lot more physicality and a lot more different styles of football in the Championship rather than Ligue 2. But if he came in and got 15 goal contributions, no one would complain at all, especially given the fact that, as we discussed earlier, he's probably going to be a depth player. But who knows what will happen? Maybe he could start off a depth player. Maybe injuries, you never know, may work in his favour, and he may impress when played. It could just take 1 game. That's the same with any player. It can just take a certain set of circumstances, and if you impress, then, you know, there's only so much the manager can do in that way. You've got to be played if you're impressing. You know, that's just how football works. But anyway, there's your lot for Pape Diallo. What do you make of Norwich hijacking the deal from Watford to make him a Canary rather than a Hornet? He swapped yellow and red for yellow and green, and I'm sure we'll all be very happy about it. But let me know your thoughts on the signing and maybe how you think he'll get on as a Norwich City player. Do you like the signing? Do you not like it? Or are you just going to wait for him to play? Then you'll make your judgments. Thank you once again for watching Transfer Talk here on the MFW YouTube channel. It's goodbye for now, and we'll see you for the next video of ours here on YouTube.